The waiter was fired because he saved the old lady. Then her husband appeared and did this. If you enjoy the stories, please subscribe. It will help the channel immensely. Lucas was still stunned by the news of his dismissal when he left the restaurant. The sun was shining intensely, making the day's heat almost unbearable, but he barely noticed. His mind was occupied only with the image of Donna Clara, fainted at her table, and the frustration of being punished for doing the right thing. What bothered him the most was the disapproving look from the owner, who seemed more concerned about avoiding a scandal than recognizing his act of bravery. As he walked through the streets, he felt a tightness in his chest. The memory of the old lady lingered with him, and he wondered how she was doing. Without thinking much, he decided he needed to know about her. He grabbed his phone and searched for the closest hospital number. After several attempts, he managed to speak with the responsible nurse. She informed him that Donna Clara was well and recovering, but her family had already been notified. Lucas smiled with relief, but soon the worry returned. He remembered that the lady always talked about how her husband, Sir Joachim, was protective and jealous. Lucas's heart raced at the thought that the man might not understand his good intentions. The next day, the restaurant door opened, and to his surprise, Sir Joachim walked in. The man's gaze was intense and determined, and Lucas immediately felt a chill in his stomach. The old man walked straight up to him, ignoring the curious looks from the customers. "Are you the guy who saved my wife?" asked Sir Joachim, his voice firm yet with a glimmer of gratitude in his eyes. Lucas, a bit hesitant, nodded. The man approached, and he could feel the tension in the air. The waiter braced himself for the worst, but what happened next was completely unexpected. "I am grateful for you helping Donna Clara. She means everything to me," Joachim began, his voice now softer. "But I can't help but ask, did you know her?" "No, sir, I just did what anyone would do," Lucas replied, a bit confused. I know, Joachim said, shaking his head. "But you saved her, and that really affected me." "What happened?" "At the restaurant was unjust. You didn't deserve to be fired." Lucas was left speechless. The man continued, explaining that Lucas's dismissal had been a topic of conversation in the family. Donna Clara always spoke of the waiter's kindness and how he had helped her, and that touched Joachim's heart. "I want you to come work with me," said the old man, smiling. "I'm opening a small snack bar, and I need someone trustworthy." "What do you think?" Lucas couldn't help but smile. The offer seemed like a dream. He ran his hand through his hair, a bit dazed, but felt it was the opportunity he needed. "I accept," he replied, more enthusiastically than he expected. "Great," exclaimed Joachim, giving Lucas a pat on the back. "Let's make the snack bar a place where people feel safe and happy." With that, the two began planning their new business, each bringing their ideas and experiences. Lucas discovered that behind Sir Joachim's tough exterior was a generous man, passionate about his wife and life. Thus, the fired waiter found a new family and a new chance, where he could be not just a worker, but a hero in his own right. Lucas watched the city from the window of the small apartment he now called home. The dismissal still weighed on his heart, but the community's support brought him a renewed spirit. He remembered the day he saved old Donna Marlene, an impulsive act that cost him his job, but also earned him the solidarity of people he barely knew. The smell of fresh coffee that his neighbor, Donna Edna, brewed in the mornings reminded him of simple moments that now seemed more precious. With the support of friends and neighbors, a fundraising effort was organized. They raised enough money for Lucas to enroll in a first aid course. The thought of being able to help others in critical situations gave his life new purpose. He started attending classes with enthusiasm, learning about CPR, controlling bleeding, and how to act in emergencies. With each new skill acquired, Lucas felt his confidence growing within. But life, as always, brought surprises. One day, while Lucas was studying for the course's final exam, the phone rang. It was an unknown number. He hesitated but answered. On the other end of the line, a familiar voice, but filled with coldness, made his heart race. It was Roberto, Donna Marlene's husband. He had heard about what happened and didn't seem pleased at all. "Do you think you're the hero of the story, Lucas? You saved the woman I've been taking care of for years, And now you want to be the good guy for everyone? Do you think you can take advantage of that? Roberto shot back, anger spilling from his words. Lucas remained silent, surprised. He hadn't thought that his action could cause resentment. I only did what I thought was right, Roberto. She was in danger, he replied, trying to stay calm. Danger? You exposed her to more problems. Now people are talking about her and you, and I'm the one who takes care of her, you understand? I don't want you to meddle in our lives. His voice was cutting like a knife. Lucas took a deep breath, trying not to let it affect him. I have no intention of interfering. I'm just learning to help people. That's not a bad thing. Roberto let out a sarcastic laugh. Help whoever you want. But stay away from my family. If you need help, call the fire department, not a fired waiter. The call ended abruptly. Lucas felt a weight on his chest. Those words echoed in his mind, but he knew he couldn't let fear or Roberto's anger divert him from his path. He had chosen to help others, and that was more important than the opinion of someone who didn't understand the value of altruism. In the days that followed, Lucas devoted himself even more to his studies. Classes became a refuge. He learned that every life mattered, that every act of kindness had an impact. And no matter how much Roberto tried to intimidate him, Lucas felt strengthened by the community that supported him. At the end of the course, Lucas received his certificate with a smile on his face. He was ready to make a difference, not just for Donna Marlene, but for anyone who needed help. And as he celebrated with his friends, he realized that true strength didn't come from a title, but from the genuine desire to care for others. Time passed, and gradually the tension between Lucas and Roberto lessened. He continued to see Donna Marlene, who frequently invited him for coffee, always with a sparkle in her eyes when talking about her adventures and life stories. Lucas felt part of the family, and that warmed him. One afternoon, while they were talking about the past, Roberto appeared at the door. His expression was different, as if finally the dust of anger had settled. "Hi, Lucas. Can I come in?" he asked hesitantly. Lucas looked at Donna Marlene, who smiled gently and nodded. Roberto entered, and the atmosphere was tense, but there was an expectation of change. I'm sorry for what I said. I was worried and acted impulsively," he began, his voice trembling. Lucas took a deep breath. "I appreciate you coming. I understand you were going through a tough time. We all have our struggles." And so, in that small room, a new story began, a story of forgiveness and understanding. Roberto sat down, and together they started to build a bridge where there had once been only distrust. Lucas realized that sometimes life gives us opportunities to change not only ourselves, but also those around us. And with that, he knew his journey as a rescuer was just beginning. The waiter was fired because he saved the old woman. Then her husband showed up and did this. Lucas didn't expect his decision to intervene in the restaurant fight to cost him his job. But seeing Donna Clara being pushed by her aggressive husband, he couldn't stand by. He jumped into the chaos, pushing the man away with determination. The scene unfolded in an instant, but the impact of his action echoed in his life in ways he couldn't imagine. After the turmoil, Donna Clara was taken to the hospital. Reluctantly, Lucas received the news of his firing by phone. Frustration and indignation mixed with a strange sense of fulfillment. He had done the right thing, even if it meant giving up his job. At the hospital, while visiting her, he found the old woman smiling, though her eyes still betrayed a hint of fear. "You are a hero, young man," she said in a soft voice, her wrinkled hands holding his. "Not many would have the courage you did. It makes a difference." Lucas was surprised by her words. He didn't see himself as a hero, but the gratitude in Donna Clara's eyes touched him deeply. Throughout her recovery, the two began to talk more. Each visit was a new opportunity to learn about the fascinating life story of that woman. Donna Clara spoke of her youth, the challenges she faced during the war, the loss of loved ones, and the struggles of raising children alone. Each account was filled with courage and resilience. "I learned that life is made of challenges, Lucas. Each one shapes us in some way," she said one afternoon as they watched the leaves dance in the wind. "What matters is never giving up on our dreams." Those words reverberated in Lucas's mind. He had been so focused on surviving the routine of work and studies that he had almost forgotten his own dreams. He wanted to be a writer, but the fear of failure always held him back. The connection he was forming with Donna Clara became fuel for his ambition, a reminder that living is more than just existing. As Lucas dedicated himself to learning more about Donna Clara's life, her husband, Carlos, reappeared. He was no longer under the influence of rage, but the shadow of the past followed him. Carlos arrived at the hospital in a mysterious state, his gaze heavy with guilt and regret. He approached Donna Clara, but Lucas would not allow her fear to manifest again. "You have no right to be here," Lucas said, positioning himself between Carlos and Donna Clara. The tension in the air was palpable, and the old woman looked at the two men with a mix of concern and sadness. "I know I was wrong," Carlos began, his words heavy and shaky. "I'm a broken man, and I want to redeem myself." Donna Clara shook her head, her eyes filled with tears. "You had your chances, Carlos. You can't just show up and expect everything to be resolved." Lucas felt the pain of the woman and the fragility of that moment. He knew that Donna Clara's life was full of challenges, but it was also an example of strength. He turned to Carlos and in a firm tone said, "If you truly want to redeem yourself, start by respecting your wife. Change comes from within. You need to face your shadows before anything else." Lucas's words echoed in the room, and Carlos fell silent, absorbing the truth that had been spoken. The discussion eventually led to a deeper conversation between the three. Carlos began to reveal his side of the story, his internal struggles, and the pain that had led him to that behavior. Donna Clara, though heartbroken, found space for forgiveness. The process wouldn't be easy, but the seed of change had been planted. Lucas, for his part, felt inspired. He had been a catalyst in that woman's life and somehow also in Carlos's life. As time passed, Lucas decided he couldn't put his dreams on hold any longer. He began to write the stories he heard from Donna Clara, turning her experiences into tales. What started as an act of heroism evolved into something much greater, a journey of self-discovery and redemption. The words flowed in his mind like a river, and he knew that just like Donna Clara, he too had his own story to tell. Lucas was sitting in the cafe, his mind still racing with the sudden job loss. He had simply done what he thought was right by saving Donna Clara from a fall, but now he found himself unemployed and burdened with guilt. As he watched people rush by, the door swung open, and a stern-looking man walked in. He had an intense gaze that seemed to pierce the soul. It was Donna Clara's husband. "You!" he shouted, pointing a finger at Lucas. "You ruined everything. My wife was fine until you showed up." The cafe, which until then had been a cozy refuge, now felt like a battlefield. The eyes turned to Lucas, who stood up, confused and defensive. "I just helped her. She was about to fall." The man, who introduced himself as Edgar, laughed sarcastically. "Oh, sure, you're the hero of the story, but who's going to believe you? An unemployed waiter who thinks he has the right to interfere in a woman's life that has nothing to do with you?" The pressure increased. Lucas felt cornered but couldn't let anger take over. Donna Clara needed help. I wasn't going to stand by. Edgar took a step closer, and the tension in the air was palpable. "You know nothing about her. You don't know what it's like living with someone like me. She has always been fragile, and you exposed her to immense risk." Edgar's words were like knives, and Lucas realized that the man was not just controlling. There was something darker, a past he was unwilling to share. "If you really care about her, you should be grateful I saved her. What do you want, Edgar? Just someone to blame?" Edgar's gaze darkened. "You don't know who you're dealing with, kid. I've always protected Donna Clara from the world's weaknesses, and now because of you she is vulnerable." The old lady appeared in the doorway, looking scared at the scene unfolding. "Edgar, what is happening?" Her voice trembled, and Lucas felt a chill in his stomach as he noticed the unease in her gaze. "Donna Clara, don't worry. This man is just trying to play the hero. He knows nothing about you and what you really need," Edgar replied, keeping his eyes fixed on Lucas, as if he wanted to burn him with his gaze. "I just wanted to help," Lucas insisted, his voice now steady. I'm not going to let you intimidate her. Edgar stepped forward, his teeth clenched. You have no idea what I'm capable of. If you don't step back, not only you, but also Donna Clara will pay for it. A heavy silence loomed between them. The cafe, once full of life, now felt like a quiet cemetery. Lucas looked at Donna Clara, who was watching him with concern. I can't leave her alone with him. I'm not a child, Lucas, she said, her voice soft yet firm. I will decide what is best for me. Edgar laughed again, but there was a nervous edge to his laughter. You think you can protect her? You don't know the darkness I carry. What I am could very well drag you both into an abyss. Lucas did not back down, but I helped her out of the darkness once, and if needed, I'll do it again. The tension was at a boiling point. It was a battle of wills, and Lucas knew he could not lose. He was no longer just an unemployed waiter. He was a protector, and Donna Clara deserved to be protected at all costs. With one last, challenging glance, Edgar turned away. You may have won this battle, but the war is far from over. I won't leave you in peace. And with that he walked away, leaving an aura of threat in the air. Donna Clara approached Lucas, tears in her eyes, and thanked him. You don't know how much this means to me. Lucas smiled, but his mind was on high alert. Her husband was gone, but Edgar's shadow still loomed over them, and he knew the fight was just beginning. Lucas took a deep breath, his heart racing as he watched Donna Clara's husband, Seu Jorge, approach. The tension in the air was palpable. The restaurant, once vibrant and full of laughter, now seemed like a battlefield. He still remembered the day it all happened, the old lady choking on a piece of meat, and he instinctively rushing to help her, saving her life. But that heroic act cost him his job, and now Lucas was determined to face the consequences. You have no right to be here, Lucas began, his voice steady but not without a slight tremor. Donna Clara is an amazing woman, and I'm not going to let you treat her like she's your property. Seu Jorge, a burly man with a look of contempt, laughed sarcastically. And who do you think you are, kid? A waiter who thinks he has the right to meddle in my life. Do you think saving her from choking gives you any kind of power over me? Lucas did not hesitate. It's not about power, it's about respect. Donna Clara deserves to be treated with dignity, and you are far from the man she deserves. At that moment, something extraordinary happened. Donna Clara, who had until then remained silent, slowly rose from her chair. Her posture, once bent by age and discouragement, now reflected a renewed strength. Jorge, she said, her voice clear and firm. Enough. Enough of you controlling me and making me feel less. I am not your property, and I will no longer allow you to treat me this way. Donna Clara's statement was like a ray of light in the darkness. Lucas looked at her, surprised, while the elderly lady continued. You have always manipulated me, making me believe I needed you. But the truth is, I have. Always been stronger than you imagined, and now everyone here will know who you really are. With a hand gesture, Donna Clara pointed at her husband. You have always taken advantage of my fragility. Do you remember when I wanted to learn to paint? You said I wasn't capable. And when I wanted to volunteer at the nursing home, you discouraged me, saying I was too old to make a difference. But I saw the difference a simple gesture can make, and you can no longer stop me. Lucas watched, amazed by the transformation of the woman who once seemed so vulnerable. So Jorge's expression shifted from disdain to a mix of anger and fear. You're crazy. You don't know what you're talking about. I'm your husband. He shouted, but his voice sounded empty and powerless. You are my husband, but not my owner, Donna Clara replied, her voice rising in intensity. And today I free myself from you and all the lies you made me believe. The room fell silent, the other restaurant patrons pausing to listen to the scene unfolding before them. Lucas felt a wave of support as he saw others beginning to feel outraged by the situation. He moved closer to Donna Clara. You are not alone. Donna Clara, we are with you. Exactly, said a woman from the neighboring table, standing up. No one should be treated this way. It's time for you to leave her life, Seu Jorge. Seu Jorge's expression grew increasingly desperate. He knew he was losing control, and the anger that once overflowed now gave way to embarrassment. You don't know who you're dealing with, he threatened. but his voice already trembled. "We know very well," Lucas replied with a confident smile, "and we are ready to fight for Donna Clara." The atmosphere in the restaurant had completely changed. Donna Clara, now surrounded by support, looked at Lucas with gratitude. "Thank you, young man. You have shown me that I still have a voice, and that it is time to use it." Realizing he no longer had power, Sir Jorge turned and quickly left, his figure vanishing through the restaurant door. Relief washed over the room, and patrons began to applaud, celebrating Donna Clara's courage. Lucas, moved, smiled at the elderly lady. "You are amazing, Donna Clara." "Never doubt yourself," she smiled back, more radiant than ever. "And you, my young man, taught me that true strength comes from lifting each other up. Thank you for showing me that it's never too late to fight for our freedom." That day the waiter not only saved a life, he helped free a woman and transformed both their lives forever. The waiter was fired for saving the old woman. Then her husband showed up and did this. The scene unfolded in a small downtown restaurant where Lucas, the waiter, was always known for his friendliness and willingness to help customers. However, that day, what started as a calm routine quickly turned into a moment of tension. Mrs. Clara, an elderly woman with white hair and tired eyes, choked on a piece of food. In a split second, Lucas rushed over, performed the Heimlich maneuver, and fortunately managed to save her. However, the old woman's gratitude concealed what was to come. Her husband, a man of imposing stature and a threatening glare, appeared minutes later, furious. He could not tolerate the idea that Clara, even for a moment, had freed herself from his control. The ensuing fight was intense, but what shocked Lucas the most was the revelation that Mrs. Clara was living in an abusive relationship, suffocated by her husband's constant orders and manipulation. With the truth revealed, Mrs. Clara finally found the courage to free herself from that emotional prison. The sad look that had previously accompanied her began to dissipate, and with it, Lucas felt that his role in her life was not yet over. After that experience, he decided that he didn't want to just be a waiter. He needed to do more. Inspired by Mrs. Clara's transformation and the need to empower others to act in emergencies, Lucas began planning a small first aid school. He wanted others to have the same courage and ability to act when the unexpected happened. Days passed, and the school began to take shape. Lucas organized workshops, invited professionals in the field, and used the restaurant space, now a symbol of overcoming. Mrs. Clara became his first student and gradually began teaching other women who, like her, lived under the weight of toxic relationships. Through learning, they not only acquired practical skills, but also rediscovered their inner strength. Finally, the day of the grand inauguration celebration of the school arrived. The environment was decorated with colorful balloons and tables filled with treats. Friends, family, and even former customers of the restaurant gathered to support Lucas and Mrs. Clara's new journey. Amid laughter and stories, the atmosphere was one of hope and renewal. Lucas made a small speech, thanking everyone for their presence and emphasizing the importance of each person being a hero in their community. He looked at Donna Clara, who was radiant, and in a symbolic gesture asked her to say a few words. With a firm voice and bright eyes, Donna Clara shared her story of overcoming. She spoke about the fear that paralyzed her and how Lucas was the key to her freedom. Listening to her, many in the audience were moved, and what could have been a simple inauguration turned into a moment of awareness about the importance of solidarity and mutual support. The celebration extended into the night, filled with dancing, laughter, and a renewed sense of community. Lucas and Donna Clara reflected on their journeys together. Both had found a new purpose, one as an educator and the other as a symbol of resistance. The strength of solidarity resonated in every corner of the event, and as they looked to the future, they knew they were not alone. Life had given them the opportunity to start over, and together they were ready to inspire others to do the same.